I've never had that message before. This meeting is being recorded by the host or a participant. It's usually the other person who gets it. Because how many interviews I've done? About just over 50 so far.
Wait a minute. I haven't even introduced you yet. I haven't even done the introduction yet. Nobody knows what.
All right.
All right. All right. Hi, this is Mark at Fun Ideas Podcast. Mark Arnold, that is. And today I have another special guest. Actually, she's been on before, but this time she's on solo. It is Ms. Amber Jones, all the way from Chester, Cheshire, England.
Hello.
So I was looking that up, and I don't know where either. I mean, I know where England is, but tell me a little bit about Chester and Cheshire and where that is in proximity to, say, London or something. I know where London is.
Distance from London, I'd say 4 hours, I believe. 4 hours.
North?
It's more up north, yeah. And from Liverpool, it's only about 40 minutes.
East of Liverpool, I guess.
I suppose, yeah. And Liverpool to Chester is like the northwest of just something along those lines. It's okay. Easy. It's easy. It's kind of easy to explain if you draw it like on a picture or a map or something like that. I do know though that the Eastgate clock in Chester is the second most photographed clock in the world, followed by Big Ben in London. So there is that.
Oh, big claim to fame.
yeah. And then of course you got the Romans and stuff, and the Beaver Wall, the City Wall, and the amphitheatre. And I'm trying to think. There's another thing I know about the race course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So a lot of races happen there. That used to be a dock, but now it's obviously been converted into a race course. Which many events happen there, racing events, fun fairs, and yeah, it's half gorgeous, half, he's improved. Sorry, don't kill me. Sorry.
So, last time we spoke, we had Camden Spees on here, who I've spoken to recently, because we did a Looney Tunes audio commentary literally last night. So that was fun. But today you're on your own, but I do want to ask you probably some of the same questions I asked last time, just to give an extra plug for your documentary. So where I learned about you, of course, is from your Bill Scott documentary you did called Bill Scott, The Portrait of a Moose. And I think somewhere along the line you reached out to me and asked me if I had some information, and I hope I contributed something worthwhile at some point. And then I had you on the show with Camden because he helped write the script for that thing. And then we finally all had a big group thing where you had like various people that you interviewed and stuff like that, all in a big giant Zoom meeting, and we all watched it. And I've wanted to go back and watch it again, but I just have not had the chance to. So my question, I guess, after all that is, and like I said, I probably asked this last time you were on, but I got to ask it again. It's like, how in the world did you decide to take on doing such a big documentary about somebody that, yeah, very little has actually been written about him? I mean, a little bit, but not as much as say like Mel Blanc or somebody else.
Yeah, well, excuse me. It first started when I was a little 14-year-old girl who loved cartoons. I have autism, so I go through different obsessions. My obsession is in the summer of 2018, I became obsessed with Rocky and Bullwinkle. And I think that was through the Disney animated TV series. Yeah, because I watched The Adventures of the Gummy Bears and I saw June Frey in it. And then my previous obsession was Hanna-Barbera. So I was like, oh, June Frey was Jokey Smurf and Smurfs, and she was originally going to be in the Flintstones series. Who's what's her name? Is it? Oh yeah, I think she was originally going to be Betty Rubble, but then some sort of disagreement happened between Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera and June or something like that. So obviously looked into June's career, and then I realized it would be the first anniversary of her death. So this would be about the 26th of July, 2018. And now thinking about it this year, it's been nearly 5 years that she's gone, but back then it hadn't even been a year. So it's crazy to think about that. So I obviously decided to research most of her roles. So that's like Granny from Looney Tunes, Witch Hazel. And then I came across Rocky from Rocky and Bullwinkle. And I was like, oh, what's this? I watched it and I was like, okay, I love this. This is my new favorite show. So obviously I binge watched it. It helped me get through this really bad depression period that I went through because one of my favorite actresses passed away. So it was sort of a distraction from that, and I think it really helped, considering I did struggle a lot. Excuse me, with the pole plate in my hair. With my hair, it's like it's trying to you have to cut it out or something. There we go. So it was like a distraction, really. And that's the thing I tend to do. I tend to fidget a lot, so that's another trait of mine. I looked at the voice cast because, me, I'm obsessed with voice actors. And I see June Foray, Paul Frees, who I already knew about, Daws Butler, who I already knew about from Hanna-Barbera. And then there was this guy called Bill Scott. And I was like, huh? And I searched him up and he was like, well, he was in the Gummy Bears as well. So pretty much I watched June and Bill in Gummy Bears before I saw them in Rocky and Bullwinkle. So I did a bit of research on Bill. I was like, oh, I like him. He looks really smart and I like his looks. And obviously he died way too soon. 65, I just wish he'd lived like into the 2000s or the 90s. That would have been really cool to see what the world would have looked like then. So I think it didn't happen. The documentary thing didn't happen until I'd say about summer 2019. I had been thinking about doing a Rocky and Bullwinkle documentary for the 60th anniversary of the show. So I did that and I interviewed a few people, Keith Scott, Fred Freese, son of Paul Freese. So me and my friend did that and we interviewed a few voice actors from the reboot, which just like we don't talk about Bruno, so it gets stuck in your head, we don't talk about the reboot.
Okay.
Yeah, not a lot of people like the reboot, and it's a very long story, just how well, it is approved by obviously the Ward estate, so but I'm not here to talk about the whole legal stuff. I'm here to talk about Bill Scott. So I did that documentary and I was thinking to myself, well, I've seen June Foray's documentary and I've seen Daws Butler's documentary. I've seen Fred Freese's book on his dad. I've seen June's autobiography. Where's Bill's autobiography? Where's his documentary? And I was disappointed to find that there was nothing of the sort online. So I was like, you know what? I completely lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
Well, I guess the challenge accepted, I guess, is what you're trying to allude to.
I'd be like, if no one's going to make a documentary on Bill, I think I'll do it myself. I don't know why. My brain just sort of like blue screen then. I was just like, that little buffering symbol. Like,
absolutely amazing to me. I mean, I especially at what I consider a very young age to do one, but also, at any age, if you did, I mean, I consider taking on to doing a documentary about anybody right now at my age of 55 lots of effort, lots of interviews, lots of time and everything, but so what was, I forget, was this all done or were you underway with it pre-pandemic?
I think it was, but during the pandemic I started to work on it. Because I to be fair, I'm 18 now. I'm old. So
well, you're my second oldest podcast guest. I had someone on here who he was 13 about 6 months ago. So and he's a huge Beatles fan, and he's like you. It's like you're too young to know about all this stuff that happened way before you were born. No, there's no problem in that. In fact, I appreciate it very much. So anyway, go ahead.
So I think I'm 18 now. I was 14 when I got into Bill Scott. If 18-year-old me did something like this 5 years ago, then 14-year-old me would have been like, oh my gosh, I gotta watch this. I gotta binge watch this. I gotta watch this every single week, every single day, every hour of the day. Literally, just younger me would have just appreciated what I would have done. I just did what younger me would have loved to see when she got into Bill Scott for the first time.
Mhm. Hmm. And I guess the last time I think I really kind of spoke to you is during when you were having the viewing with everybody there, is Keith Scott and Tara Strong, and who else was there?
Will
Uh,
Ryan, Bob Kurtz.
oh, Will Ryan was there. Oh, that's right. Oh,
Yeah.
anyway, um, but yeah, a lot of people were there, and I think the Scott family was there, some of them, and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
really talked to you since. So, what has the reception been like since that day?
If I were
Like,
to tell this to 14-year-old me, they would laugh and say, what? Literally, I cannot tell you. The reception I've had is amazing, and I'm so grateful for it. Tara Strong praised me. Corey Burton gave me
oh
his
yeah,
full
Corey.
thumbs up on the documentary. Frank Welker loved it,
Oh,
and
he did see it. Okay, very good.
when someone asked about it on his website, asked him, did you work with Bill Scott? He pointed in the direction saying Amber Jones has done a brilliant documentary on Bill Scott. I was like, so I have Frank's words of appreciation on my wardrobe. You can't really see, but it says what a great job on the documentary, how you got all the clips, the material, information, and put it together so beautifully. Oh my, indeed, Bill would be delighted. You've shown yourself to be a very talented young lady and filmmaker and well on your way into the world of arts. My congratulations to you for your persistence and your talent. Wonderful stuff, Amber. Your fan, Frank.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, I'm so happy. I cried. I physically cried, and I hardly cry at happy moments.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put my hair up.
That's okay.
So
That's okay. This is a hair
I
show. I don't have much hair to work with, but yeah.
so
Anyway.
I was like,
My hair down here.
okay, that's a lot better. Perfect. Okay, that was a good idea to put my hair up. And I think one of the other biggest praises I got was from Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh yeah. What he
Yeah.
said, I think I heard what he said, but repeat it, please.
I think he said I remember putting a sort of comment on his wife's Instagram saying, "Oh, hi, such and such." Suzanne, that's her name. I'm not sure if you've seen it, the documentary. I just wanted to send you it just to see if Al's seen it or not, because I sent it to his agent and never got a response. So she said, "Hi, Amber. Yes, Jay, Al's agent, forwarded the link and Al watched it, enjoyed it very much, and was honored to be a part of it."
Oh. Well, I was happy you were able to secure him. I mean, some people are just difficult to get. Like, I've done a book about total television, kind of the antithesis of all this. And I heard Tom Hanks was a huge underdog fan, and I tried everything I could, especially during the pandemic, to try to get him to do a forward for my total television scrapbook. And I finally got his offices, and this secretary person said, well, he's very hard to reach because he's always making movies and he's traveling around the world, but we'll try. And he basically just politely turned me down. And I'm like, it's just a small little forward. Like, you actually got Weird Al on camera to actually say a few comments. And I actually learned something from, because I always thought his rendition of George of the Jungle just took sound clips of Bill Scott from the old version. I didn't know that Bill Scott recorded brand new Tarzan yells, as it were, for lack of no terminology. George yells, I guess. I don't know.
I'm
So,
just picturing Bill with his mustache, his glasses, and his grey hair standing next to Weird Al with his long brown crimped hair, glasses, and his accordion. It's just amazing.
oh, I'm sure they got along famously. It's probably fine, because well, it from your documentary, the various characters Bill Scott hung around with over the years. I mean, there's a lot of eccentric people out there in entertainment, especially in the cartoon industry, and it's like, and certainly in voice acting. So, even if he wasn't really aware at the time of Weird Al's career, because it was just kind of starting out. I think that was his third album. He was still probably appreciative that, hey, here's this young guy doing all these cartoon parodies and comic parodies and music parodies and things like that. So sure, okay.
I've just remembered Yeah, I've just remembered. I can't remember it. I think it was on Bob Claster's interview. I heard Bill say at the end he's got I don't know when this was recorded. I'm presuming it was early '85, but he's like, I've got a recording session with Weird Al Yankovic coming up, and you might know about his work. I'll have to go back and listen to that, and then I'll just say to you, "Oh yeah, I should have put that in my documentary. That would have explained things a little bit better." Oh well.
No, that's
Yeah.
fine. There's all, whenever I tend to do books, but whenever you do something, it's always after the fact you find that one more bit of information. Well.
Director's cut, anyone?
Yes, exactly.
Director's cut.
Bonus features on the DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Anyway.
I think, as in, if you wanted to know just out of curiosity about the guests I managed to snag,
Yeah.
Frank Welker, I didn't do an interview with him. He was one of the, I think it took a long few good 8 months to get him to contribute because of how busy he was. Weird Al, that took about 2 weeks to set up, and that was only limited to a 15-minute interview. At the time, I wanted to talk to him because I was a fan of his music and stuff, and I just wanted to know if he had grown up with Rockin' Bullwinkle by any chance. I found out in that exact same Zoom call that he did that Joy to the Jungle cover and had met Bill. So that took me by complete surprise. And Corey Burton, that took I'd say just over a week to set up. Yeah. I expected him to turn me down because he's known for, not giving much interviews. He's a private person. So, and then I spoke to his agent, and then his agent was like, Corey would love to sit down and do an interview. I was like, oh my gosh. So it's like, because Corey's one of my most favorite voice actors ever, and I respect him so much. I mean, we got on so well. I mean, we got on so well that we actually still keep in touch. We text each other now and then. So,
do you think it's a subject matter? Do you think it's because of Rocky and Bullwinkle? Like, if you just said, "Hey, I need to interview Corey for such and such role or your voiceover," he might say, "Nah," but because, because it was Rocky and Bullwinkle.
It was actually because both of us have autism, so we kind of relate to each other.
I didn't know that about Corey. So
yeah, he has Asperger's syndrome. Nowadays they have labels. It's all just classed as autism now. So
yeah. But I have to admit, when I first heard of Corey, it's like, in my youth, if I was your age at one point. In fact, I think I was your age when Bill Scott passed away, unfortunately. But because it was 1985. That was about 18, yeah. Anyway, so and that really well, it did piss me off because he had never really granted, you're talking about interviews with like Bob Costas or something like that. And
Bob Costas interview.
And it's like, he had never really granted interviews. I was already a Rocky and Bullwinkle fan, and there was precious little written about Bill Scott. He never seemed to appear anywhere, nothing. And I always kind of thought maybe because Jay Ward finally ended the Captain Crunch thing and the Quaker Oats thing in 1984, and he did do the Gummy Bears thing, that kind of gave him the freedom that, okay, now I can talk. I can finally talk. I'm not contractually obligated to Jay Ward, and
he's not stuck under an NDA
my mouth shut or whatever. I can talk. And because he did that interview with Jim Korkis, he did that one you mentioned, and a few others, he worked with Joe Piscopo. It was all in quick successions. He did a Hershey's chocolate ad. He did the Weird Al thing.
The Hershey's chocolate ad was his last thing
that
he did
last year of his life, he was very, very busy. And like you said, if he only lived even just 10 years more, it's like he would have been the voices through the duration of Gummy Bears, just not just the first season. They might have made more Wuzzles episodes, and he would have granted probably more interviews and maybe even written a book or something. And it's like, but you kind of remedied that. I praise you, for the great documentary, and it's like, if you haven't seen it, where do they find it? Let's just get that out of the way.
You can find it on YouTube on my channel, Amber the Fangirl. It's my pinned video that you'll see every time you visit my channel. I have been trying to get it at some film festivals, but a lot of them you have to pay to submit entries to. I tried getting it to Netflix, MeTV. I just want it widespread everywhere because I had no luck apart from just on YouTube, which really sucks because Frank Welker emailed me a few months back saying I should try and submit it to Netflix. I should try and get it out there more. I'm like, I've tried. They don't accept unsolicited ideas. What do I do? I think
Yeah.
MeTV would have been a really good choice though. So I tried, but I failed.
I'm kind of, I'll say I'm really not, but I'm kind of friends with another documentary filmmaker. I'm actually friends with the subject of the film he made. Is this guy named Stu Shostak, and there's a film that is called Stu's Show that's coming out. But that man did a documentary a few years back about The Price is Right, and about this one guy who figured out how to win at The Price is Right and win big because they repeated products and stuff like that. And he was one of those types that memorized, well, they've had this car before and it was a few $1,000s. It's got to be this price again. And, things like that. It's an interesting documentary. So I know the man through another person. Maybe I can put you in contact and he can give you tips because he had some difficulties getting his documentary onto Netflix, but he was able to get it onto other platforms. So that might be an avenue. We could talk afterwards online.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
So let me ask you this about now, did this movie lead to you doing other things like your voiceover stuff, or were you doing that all along anyway?
I was doing voiceover work before this documentary. My first voiceover role came in January 2020. I voiced a helicopter coin-operated ride. You can't really see there, but voila, it's on my wardrobe. It's there. It's like an orange helicopter and it speaks. So I recorded my lines for that in November 2019 in my room with my Apple headphones in this exact spot. So it wasn't professional or anything like that.
Now,
so
since
I did
haven't
that.
heard it, did you use your natural voice or were you putting on a cartoon voice?
I used my natural voice. They didn't want any cheesy American voice. They just wanted they just wanted my normal accent because they just love my normal voice. So I would say things like heli to tower, come in tower, up and away, rotor power, heli to the rescue. I never realized that now. I love doing impressions and just doing that. I think I sound exactly like the ride. But wait, that's me on the ride. That's my voice. I could do a good impression of my voice. I'm like, yes, I'll do the helicopter voice. It's so weird because that's what people are going to be asking me in a few years, saying, "Can you still do the helicopter voice?" I'm like, I can, yeah. So it's so weird. Wow. I just suddenly realized everything now.
So prior to that, I mean, were you you said you wanted to be that first, but anyway, how did you get into wanting to be a voice-over actress? What was your earliest memory of that? How old were you then?
Well, I love cartoons. I've loved them ever since I was a little kid. I'd watch Boomerang and Top Cat and Tom and Jerry and Wacky Races and stuff like that. So I'd watch them and I'd think, I kind of want to do that as well because I could do silly voices as a kid. I could do different accents. I love to mimic people, mimic the teachers at school. Found out, I'm not very happy. I did. I know I'm saying a lot. I do apologize. I know it's annoying. Okay, so I did a lot of acting classes. I think I did a theatre school when I was 10. I studied drama at my old high school. They didn't do drama at my last high school, so I couldn't study for that at all. And then I got onto a performing arts course at college in 2020, just when the pandemic was happening. But as in getting into voice acting, I was a big fan of voice acting. I would look at the credits, I'd look at all these voice actors and I think, oh yeah, I'm just going to type to them and say how much I love them. I need to take a shot every time I say So I started getting into the habit of maybe doing a few projects, a few voiceovers on my channel. And then the opportunity came, I think, just after I met Tara Strong in London. And they asked me, would you like to be the voice of a helicopter ride? And obviously the pandemic happened and only 2 models of that ride were made. There's one in Leeds and there's one in Iceland.
Wow.
So that I was surprised because there was meant to be about 100 models shipped all over Australia, America, everywhere. So
well, you never know. There might be a chance again since things are opening up, unless it's kind of run its course. But
oh no, it's run its course.
No, on getting this initial job, were you sending out like? I mean, I'm so old school. I know the old you send out demo tapes through the mail and stuff like that. But I mean, how do you do it now to get discovered? Just direct people to a YouTube page, or what do you do?
Well, back then I was friends with the technical manager, should I say, of the company at the time.
Okay.
So I can't remember this other guy's role. I think he was the head designer. I could be wrong. Okay. Well, his name was Gareth. So Gareth messages me. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're looking for we're doing a new ride releasing at EAG, which is an amusement arcade machine expedition that happens at the ExCeL every January." So he was like to me, "Oh yeah, well look, do you want to be the voice of our new ride?" I'm like, "Yes." So he sent me all this concept art stuff. I was like, nah, of course I do. It was a dream come true because as a kid, I hated rides. Well, not hated, I was scared of them. Then I started filming them for YouTube, got extremely popular, over 7 million views. And then I'm now the voice of one of them. So I think it's really cool how it's come as a full circle. So I went to London to see it unveiled. And then, well, March 2020, I know this is unrelated, but this kind of relates into the story of the Bill Scott documentary. So I was there, short, blue-haired me. I was on top of the world. I just met 2 of my best friends near London for my sweet 16th. And I was just on top of the world. I need to stop saying that. I'm so sorry. It just comes naturally because you're thinking of what to say. I'll just go instead. It's easier that way. I'm sorry. Okay, deep breaths. In March, I went to Liverpool Comic Con and I met Frank Welk and Peter Cullen, who were doing their first UK appearance.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I think September 2019, I started to make the idea of a Bill Scott documentary. That's when I first contacted Bill's daughter, Barbara, and she gave me her full permission to do it. So I went to Liverpool, I spoke with Frank, and I asked him about Bill Scott, and I said, well, I'm thinking of making a documentary on him. Would you be interested in contributing? And he was like, oh yeah, you'll have to contact my agent and stuff like that. I met him, got his autograph. He was really nice. I wish I got a photo with him now. So obviously, like a week or 2 later, the UK went into full lockdown because of COVID-19. I was like, oh dear. So that pretty much closed everywhere in the world. So, no one could do anything. No one could go out and record and stuff like that. So I was like, what am I going to do for these next few months? I know, let's make that documentary. So I started typing a script and writing up to people. Oh yeah, I'm doing a Bill Scott documentary. I'm doing a Bill Scott documentary. Do you want to contribute and stuff? And it was easier because everyone was at home and they could do interviews from home. They weren't even that busy. So it was easy to get a hold of people back then. So obviously I think Katie Lee was the first person I interviewed, and then it was followed by Corey Burton. I just want to go back to that time, to be fair, because I had a 6-hour call with Corey.
That was the benefit. It did help me get people for this podcast. There's a while there I was like, I was booked with like 3 months ahead, and it's like I was just jamming them out like every day, like, hello, we're on the Fun Ideas podcast. Hello. It was like after 2 weeks, I'm like, all right, I've talked to so many people, but then I could take a long break because I had enough shows since I only put them up weekly, that uh, I go, I got shows for the next 3 months. Okay. um, so as I will say this, again, doing the documentary and also being a voiceover talent, those are two things I wanted to do, and I'm like so jealous. But anyway, but you have so many opportunities nowadays that I didn't have then. It's like in the 70s. It's like, how do you contact someone? No, you write a letter and mail it through the mail, and it's like, and I know stories of like how, like, say, Nancy Cartwright from The Simpsons, got under Dawes Butler's wing and stuff like that. So she became a voiceover, but it still took a lot of time. It seems like nowadays you can do things almost instantly. And if you wanted to shoot a video, like we're doing it live right now, back in the old days, Super 8 camera, film, cost money. How do you do that? You have to get it developed, blah, blah, blah. But so, I guess the upshot is I did take some voiceover lessons way back when, and did enough to kind of not want to do it. But it might be different now. I mean, I would love to do a voiceover. I just didn't. What turned me off at the time is I actually talked to Lucille Bliss, who you probably know from Smurfs and Crusader Rabbit and other things. And she worked with June Foray many times and things like that too. She and another voiceover lady that I was working with, and we're talking 30 years ago, was saying, oh, to get into voiceover, you have to kind of bribe your way in and bake cakes and cookies and things like that. It's like, I'm not into that. I just want to get a job, And unfortunately, my career went a zillion other directions, and so I never officially have done a voiceover thing, but I'd love to do one, at some point. But this is kind of a
Never too late
compensation.
to start.
It's
Never too
yeah,
late
but
to
this is
start.
like a compensation. I could do all the voices I want on my own podcast. So, but
Yeah.
and if I get discovered, I do. If I don't, well, I still got to do the voices. So there. So, but yeah, I like you was like into Rocky and Bullwinkle around. I knew about it when I was a little kid, but I didn't get into it probably officially until I was like 12, because as a little kid, a lot of the humor was a little sophisticated. I mean, I like the moose and I like the squirrel characters, but I never understood what was going on. And I've said this many times, I didn't know that each segment was actually part of a larger story. I just thought you kind of join these characters in the middle of a story, and then they'd say, join us again next time for blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And the next time it would be a different story because I didn't watch completely regularly, and of course a week or two would pass because I'd forget to watch or whatever, wasn't on video. And so I just thought, oh, there's just little isolated incidents. And then when I was 12, a local TV station said, we're going to air them every day of the week and in chronological order with complete story. And I go, oh really, there's a real story? And then I found the moon fuel story, the box top story, all those different ones, and I go, oh, these are incredible. It actually makes a big story arc. I love this. And by that time I was more appreciative of the voices because of I'd gotten into Stan Freberg records. June Foray and Dawes Butler worked with Stan Freberg a lot, and you probably know him too, and different things like that. So
Of course I do.
uh, now since you mentioned Liverpool Comic Convention, I'm just curious. You've only been to conventions. I think you said it says somewhere that you went to Wales Comic Con too. You've probably never been to any American comic conventions, right? So, but I'm just curious. Describe a Welsh or a Liverpudlian comic convention, and I'm just curious if they're similar to American ones or you do things completely differently. Like, what would you see if you went to one?
Well, one thing I would like to point out is that there isn't a lot of voice actors, which is a downside in my opinion. Liverpool only really gets about 4 or 5, whereas FanX and Salt Lake gets like 20. Like, yeah. I mean, we've never had Rob Paulson do a the closest he's done is Dublin Comic Con. He hasn't done any ones in England, so I haven't been able to meet him or anything like that. I know Frank Welker's done one, Tara Strong's done one. Trez McNeil hasn't done one. I know Billy West has done a few. Yeah, Steve Bloom, I think he did MCM Birmingham just before the pandemic. I suppose they focus a lot more on TV and film stars, and it's really just like I think they have more traders than guests, really. I mean, Liverpool tends to get about 40 guests, I suppose, and then Wales gets around the same. Well, contrary to popular belief, it's not specifically Wales Comic Con. It was at Wrexham University, and it's only just moved to Telford, which is in Shropshire in England. So Telford's not in Wales, for those wondering. So they just call it Wales Comic Con Telford Takeover.
Okay, I just read it, so I had no idea where it was located.
Oh no, it's fine.
Assumed
it's fine.
Wales, but who knew? Anyway,
it's on the border to Wales.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's more.
But
TV
so do you have the
based.
same type of thing we have here? I guess is what I'm driving at. Is like vendors with rows and rows of boxes of old comic books and things, or is it more like you're saying, more celebrities and more voiceover actors and things like that showing up?
Well, to be fair, the vendors, they sell like custom things. It's hard to describe, but they could sell posters or badges or toys. It's really just they sell anything. There's even one that had like Japanese food on it. And I bought a bit of some Pocky. Not sure you heard the little sticks. Yeah. So bought some of them. The lime banana pudding. Best flavor.
I don't know if I've had that flavor, but yeah.
It's so nice. It's so lovely.
Strawberry and chocolate, maybe.
So yeah, it tends to range from clothing to handmade, independent businesses.
And they do have conventions like that here too. But I mean, traditionally in the old days, the traditional comic conventions were total comic books and old ones. But I don't know, if there's like a collector's market for such things over in Europe as much as, or England or UK as much as here.
Oh yeah, there is. Yeah, because TF Nation, which is a Transformers convention, that's more toy based than celebrity based. All photos there, autographs are free because mainly people just go for the toys because obviously a lot of people collect Transformers, but I'm only really going there for the guests because I don't collect Transformers. Well, I have 4 Transformers. I have a Cup, a Perceptor, a Pipes, and a Jazz, but I don't collect them and I hardly transform them because it annoys me.
Well, you have 4 more than I have because they came out originally when I was like in my teens, and I was like, yeah, I wish these came out when I was like 5. It's like when I was in my teens, like Transformers and GoBots came out, and I go, these are really cool, but I can't collect this stuff, and so I guess I could, but I collect everything else. So anyway, so I was just kind of curious about how conventions work. Now, do you get any British based voice actors? I mean, all the ones you're mentioning are like American based. Are those ones you tend to follow, so you don't care about anybody who is voicing for like an Aardman film or anything like that, or anything like that?
A lot of people who do the Aardman films are celebrities, not voice actors. So if you've got, well, I know Peter Salas is no longer here. He was Wallace, but he was more known for doing television. Did he show up at
these type of shows or no?
What type of show? Sorry.
Would he show up at this?
No, I don't believe so.
Well, then that explains that. So
yeah, because he was known for doing Last of the Summer Wine, which is a British sick.
A British shit show. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm a British because of the shin British. It was a British sitcom.
Yes. It actually made its way.
Please don't cut that out.
It actually made its way over here. Although I'll have to admit, when Last of the Summer Wine first came over to America, I was like, I don't get it, because it's very British compared to, say, like Monty Python or even other things that are a little more accessible to Americans. But over time, I grew to like it. Of course, it was on for 30 something years, right?
Yeah,
so, it's crazy.
His house was in all the seasons, and then the other 2 got replaced, but Peter, he just stayed on till the end.
Right, that's true. All the other people were replaced and everything. I have a imported magazine, which it wouldn't be an import from there, but it's on my shelf over there, of Last of the Summer Wine, and it kind of explained all the cast changes and everything, because I just kind of watched it randomly when I'd see it on TV, not chronologically, and so I'm like, well, Peter and two other guys. Oh, this is guy Captain Peacock from Are You Being Served is on here now. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. You know,
Oh,
it's
what's his
like,
name? Is
you
it
know,
Frank Thornton? Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's his
Frank
name.
Thornton. Yeah, yeah.
Thought so.
I think he
Yeah.
did some voice acting too at some point too.
Yeah, he was in the Cosgrove Hall BFG
Hmm,
movie.
okay.
Yeah, I know. I think as what you said before, sorry, British voice actors. There was only one at actually no, two. There was two.
Oh,
There was Mark Ryan, who was Bumblebee in the first Transformers film in 2007.
oh, okay.
And he's been in a few of the Michael Bay Transformers films as miscellaneous characters. And then Mark Silk, who's a British voice actor. He's known for doing a lot of British kids shows over here. I think he's done Thief in the Flower Tots or in the Racing Car.
Mhm.
Um, I know you got other people like Lizzie Waterworth and David Holt and Emma Tate. And those, I don't think they do conventions. They're not known for
Yeah.
doing that. I mean, over here back in the day, we didn't get a lot of well, yeah, I suppose we did get a few British made cartoons for like the BBC, but
Mhm.
they obviously use the same voice actors they tend to use: David Holt, Emma Tate, Janet James, Maria Darling.
Mhm.
Um, so they kind of reuse the same actors, or we just get American cartoons from America and dub them with the same actors. Nowadays, you either get actual kids doing the voices, or you get British celebrities. Like you could have, I don't know, Benedict Cumberbatch or Catherine Tate doing it, or Olivia Colman doing it
Mhm.
as a main character.
Okay.
Um, so it kind of varies like that. And I think we still get a few British made shows, but I think some of them are just imported from other countries and dubbed,
Yeah.
really. So they're not as we don't have a Disney of the UK. I suppose we had a Hanna-Barbera of the UK back in the day, and that was Cosgrove Hall. They made Danger Mouse, Count Duckula, that BFG film I
Oh, yeah.
mentioned,
Yeah.
many others. They're one of my favorite animation companies ever.
Mhm.
And yeah, they were just really cool. And obviously they had like their own Hanna-Barbera main stage. They had Cosgrove Hall main stage. You had Rob Rackstraw, Jimmy Hibbert, David Jason. Yeah,
Mm,
it was magical. It was
okay.
amazing. It was
But I think you are correct. Is that tend to pick, but they do that here too. They tend to print the actors that are established actors nowadays, as opposed to someone specifically doing voiceovers, which sometimes I think is a shame because they'll pick somebody and they'll say, "Hey, we got so and so celebrity to do a voiceover role," and he or she does not have a very distinctive voice, and it's like, why would you pick this person? I mean, like, um, if you're gonna pick somebody, I like it when you can watch a movie and, for example, I think it's one of the Pixar ones, one of the recent ones. It might be a Disney one. Forgive me, I forget which movie it's one. I think it's Onward, but it might be one of the other ones. Graham Norton did a voice, and I go, "Hey, that's Graham
oh
Norton.
yeah,
The
Soul.
TV
Soul
host."
that
Yeah,
was.
Soul. That's right. Okay, so yeah, I knew it was one of those, but they all become a blur about who was in what and everything. I don't know. Who's in Encanto? I don't know. It's like anyway, but um, I like it when I'm able to pick out a voice and I go, "Hey, I recognize that voice." But when it's somebody, it's like, who is this? Is that Renee Zellweger? No, no, no. Is it and their voice isn't distinctive enough until you look, oh, that's who this person is. It's like, okay, gone are the days of like the people like what we're talking about, the Mel Blancs, this Bill Scotts and everything, that could do really distinctive and different voices. I mean, I was going to say this about Bill Scott, which always amazed me when I discovered it. His natural speaking voice, Bill Scott's natural speaking voice, is more like Mr. Peabody, but he can do Bullwinkle, which sounds completely different, and uh but I didn't know it was the same guy doing it. I go, wait a minute, the guy who does Bullwinkle does Mr. Peabody? That can't be the same guy. It doesn't even sound the same person at all. Now I can tell the difference or tell the similarities or whatever, but when I first, it just blew my mind. I was like, oh. Anyway, so um back to your voiceover thing. So you did the helicopter, but
Mhm.
you say or said, or it's said on, I think it's on your Facebook, you are going to be voicing Prestella the rabbit for Kooky Trails in Riverside, California. Tell me how
Yes.
that came about, or it's coming up, or what's the story on that? Yeah.
Well, I was recommended to the producers, I guess you could call them producers, directors, creators, by a mutual friend, Steph. So they introduced me to sorry, I'll have to cut that bit out. I kind of just stumbled on my
That's okay.
words.
That's okay.
Do you tend to cut stuff out in this
No.
in interviews? Oh,
Unless I have technical difficulties. No, keep going. It's okay.
okay. It might take you
I
longer to
can.
edit.
We can talk afterwards. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So my friend Steph, she recommended me to this guy called Max, who's making a theme park ride called Cookie Trails. It's a dark ride. I don't really know the plot of it, and even if I did, I wouldn't be able to say because I signed an NDA for it. The audition process was simple. I went on a Zoom call. No, it was Discord, excuse me. And they said, oh yeah, I want you to audition for these two characters. There's character 1, character 2. So I did them, and they said, well, there's this extra character we want you to audition for. She's got a British accent, and yeah, we just want you to try out. So they gave me a few pointers, and I did a voice, and I sort of did a voice like that, sort of like Wendy Darling from Peter Pan, sort of like that. If you have background noises, it's my brother being annoying, so you know. So, and they were like to me, well, the plot twist is no one else has auditioned for Prestella, so congratulations, you got the role. I'm like, what? Thank you. So that's how I got that. They are currently deciding the voices for the other two characters. I believe I'm not one of the callbacks for character 1. I'm one of the callback finalists for the other character, so I'll see how that goes. And I could
So
end
you
up
might get
voicing
a
them as
second
well.
character. Okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Now,
So
can you do a bit of it? You said it was like Wendy Darling.
yeah,
I'll
sort
put you
of
on the
like
spot here.
Wendy Darling from Peter Pan, sort of. So she sort of talks in a bit like that. She sort of like properly pronounces most of her things. I've just noticed my door is open. Oh man, I didn't even know. I swear I closed that door. I swear I closed my door when I started this interview, unless I'm just going potty. I don't know.
Well, if you want to close it now, go ahead.
I could. I
All right. All right.
could.
Hey,
Yeah.
I
Think of
interviewed the
something to
guy
say.
from I interviewed the guy from Paul Revere and the Raiders, and he just said, "Hold on." Come on back. Anyway, I interviewed the guy from Paul Revere and the Raiders, and he wanted to talk to me about something. And he goes, "Let me get the record," and he just left the room. I'm just sitting here. I'm like, okay. And so I filled in, and I go, make sure to buy his record. So make sure to listen to Amber Jones. Except I don't know where to send you at this point. To the website to watch Bill Scott documentary. Okay, let's go further. So what is Riverside? Are you? It sounded like, unless I'm wrong, you're planning or going to have a trip to America here to record this. So you're not.
Not most likely not to record, probably only just to see the ride once it's been built. By the way, that's the Amber Jones you don't see. Me closing the door, me talking to people outside, me telling people to shut up in the other rooms and stuff. I really need my own soundproof studio.
That's the real Amber Jones we want.
Yeah, that's I'm just too embarrassed to show my real self online. I have it. As for the trip to America, yes, I am planning on going there once the ride has been finished and completely built to see what it's like. As for line recording, I don't think I'm recording it in America. I'm recording it here in England.
Okay, but it wouldn't be at your desk here like that other ride. It would probably be a little in a recording studio.
Oh
right?
yeah. Most likely.
You're moving on up. All right. Do you know where
it's
that?
It's a big upgrade.
Would that be like in London, or it would be locally to where you are?
I found a good local one nearby, so I'll probably go to there. So there is that. Cool. And I'm hoping to meet a lot of my American friends when I come to America as well, because I'll obviously be in the California area, Riverside being a district. It has no set theme park at the moment. It's really just so if, say, Six Flags wants to buy the ideas for the ride, they'll just get everything from the ride and then take it to there or something like that. So I don't know where exactly it's going, but it's being built. The prototype is in Riverside, California. So
the ride is in Riverside, but it may not stay there. So it could go literally anywhere.
It's not at any theme theme park at the moment. It's just I have no
Okay.
clue where it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that confused me too, because Riverside's in the middle of the desert, which is not saying that's a problem because they build theme parks anywhere nowadays, it seems like. But but um I don't know if you've seen this. This is a total aside, but there's a documentary um called Closed Due to Storm. And it was a Six Flags park that didn't originally start that. It was in New Orleans, Louisiana, but Six Flags took it over. And when Hurricane Katrina happened, way back when, they put on their marquee "Closed due to storm," and that became the title of the film. Unfortunately, the theme park never reopened after that, so it's been just this desert ghost town, as it were, for 15 years, and kind of an eyesore now. Fascinating documentary if you can look it up. But and they still to this day don't know what to do with it. It's just a abandoned theme park. So hopefully your ride doesn't end up there. I guess that's my tie into all that. But it was a Six Flags park, and so that okay. So that makes sense. They're building it in Riverside, but it could be shipped literally anywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you this stuff, because all I see coming to America, and I go, oh, are you recording the lines in Riverside? And you're gonna, I don't know. It
Pretty
seems like an
sure it's too
odd
expensive for me to
spot,
handle.
because Riverside's like in the middle of the desert. I mean, there is town there now, but in back in the day, that was like literally nothing there. But anyway, so um, let's see. I've asked you quite a few things here. Well, I'll just ask this before there's a couple other topics I wanted to touch upon, but I know you have aspirations to continue on doing this type of work, but do you have any current prospects at this time? If you can't disclose anything, that's fine. But I mean, is this seemingly like a natural career path that each one of these things is leading to something? Do you think at this point?
Well, to be fair, that documentary was a bit time consuming for me, even though it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So probably not another documentary. No, it's
No, no,
too
I'm not
much
talking
of a
about document. I'm
logging
talking the
handle.
voice out. I'm talking about the voiceover.
Oh,
Yeah,
right. I
yeah,
see.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I would think you're, but I will ask you about that too. But anyway, but the voiceover work, does that seem like there's future projects that you may or may not be able to disclose at this time that are kind of possibly happening based on what you've already done?
I just get the projects as they come at me. I have no other future ones apart from Cookie Trails. So I really just depends what I get in the future, to be fair.
Okay.
I'm happy to do anything.
All right.
I'm open for
Well,
work.
hire this lady right here. Anyway, but yeah, you already mentioned it. So no other documentaries in the planning, or would you, if you could, let's say you had oodles of time, oodles of money, oodles of connections and prospects. Is there like a dream project that you would like to work on if you did a second documentary on anything?
I'd love to do a Frank Welker one.
Oh, wow. That actually would be a good idea, because was he voiced over for like 55 years or something longer,
Yeah,
and it's like he's not gonna be around forever. But yeah, I you said you met him, right?
I
Um,
did.
how
Actually,
how was he in person? Because
he was. You've heard what? Sorry.
I've heard he's kind of a difficult person to be with, but it might be on a professional level. I don't know.
Well, he's really sweet when you meet him in person, and I've met him over video chat through GalaxyCon, and he's just so sweet. He recognizes me every single time,
Okay.
and he's just so sweet and stuff. I remember the last time we spoke, he was like, "I just wanted to tell you how impressed I am with your Bill Scott documentary. That was just amazing." I was like, ah. um, yeah. What was I completely forgot? Oh yeah, Frank Welker documentary won't be possible. I've asked Frank directly, and he said
Oh.
no. But in an alternative universe, yes, I would hope to do one.
or,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
a
he's
Frank
silly.
Welker documentary without Frank in it. It's like
But
everyone.
he doesn't want me to make one at all.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
yeah, that's
and
his wishes, and I
and
respect that.
I guess I that's where I'm equating as being difficult, just because he doesn't seem to like to toot his own horn. And I'm sure because he's been, associated with, say, like Scooby Doo forever, everybody kind of wants things from him. So I can understand him being kind of private and standoffish to most requests and things like that. But it's too bad he'd say no to you, because it seems like, especially since he gave high marks to your Bill Scott one, that he would like give you a special dispensation or something like that.
Well, he did say he's turned down everyone else, so it's nothing personal. But I know Warner Brothers did a mini documentary on him, 20 minutes long. Because there's something he's not telling me. I don't know. Well, Warner Brothers. They're the big cheese. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So
Well,
sorry, like.
also in a case like that, they might be paying him a big amount, and you say, "All right, for a big amount of money, and you want me to talk about myself for 20 minutes?" Okay.
That's why he owns a Beechcraft Bonanza and a big mansion with his own golf course and his own private cinema and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Strangely enough, if I was to view a Frank Welker documentary, I'd be more curious about his non-voiceover roles, just because he did a few, on-screen acting appearances, not in recent years, and just kind of curious about why he didn't keep that up. I know, like June Foray said in some interview way back in the 80s, she says, my last screen appearance was on Green Acres, and she played a Hispanic switchboard operator. And I don't know if you've ever heard this story before. And she had a heavy, accent, oh, Mr. Douglas, like that type of deal. But she said, I just got tired of getting dressed up and wearing the makeup and coming down to be filmed and everything, whereas on the voiceover I can just walk in with my hair in curlers or whatever and just do it, and it's like, okay, I can see why people stop doing the on-screen acting roles when they can just do it over a microphone and stuff like that, so as far as I know, I think June Foray did keep that pledge. She did make a couple cameo appearances as herself in other movies, but never as an acting role again after that. But anyway, so Welker's kind of the same way. I think after Scooby-Doo took off, I think he made a couple more Disney films, and I think that was pretty much it. So so.
Yeah, I haven't seen him do stand up for a good few years actually. I know
Oh yeah, he did a stand up
open...
album somewhere along the line too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And
What was it called?
I don't remember, but he did. I think there was a Christmas song on it, if I remember correctly. He did a lot of impersonations, and it was pretty good, But
It's
anyway.
called Almost Sold Out, released in 1988.
That's right. And I think the album cover, if you have it up in front of you, is like him standing on an empty stage, or empty audience, and he's standing behind the mic. If I remember correctly. I haven't looked at it in a while.
I just looked. I never realized that was him on the stage.
Yeah, that's him on the stage behind a mic, but there's no way in the audience, or there might be like one or two, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I looked at the album cover.
I could photo myself onto it. I don't know what happened. I was like, I could Photoshop myself onto it. I could do a really good. I could do. Photoshop is like my profession. I do a lot of edits and stuff like that. So
put yourself in the audience.
I want to be one of those people in the audience. Come on, man. Like I've met the guy virtually like a few times, and I'm meeting him again in Edinburgh this October. Finally, hopefully it's not cancelled, but I miss him. I miss him, man. I hope he does hugs, because I just want to hug him so much when I get there. I just don't want to go there and they're like, oh no hugs. I'm like, I've planned this for 5 months. Don't do this to me. Yeah, but hooray for Frank Welker.
Yay.
Yeah, this is me. Don't change who I am. Ooh, where's Zoom gone? There you go.
Now, what I haven't actually met her in person. She is a Facebook friend. She was actually in the audience, but we didn't really talk. But what's Tara Strong like?
Tara Strong, she voice directed me for a project. Oh yeah, that's another thing, another project I'm doing. I can't say about, but she voice directed me for something. We talk a lot. She's really sweet, and she's like my mentor, my other big sister, because I already have a big sister. In her 30s. So yeah, Tara's like my second big sister. She's so kind to me, and she always has been since we met. And she's just been so supportive of me in my work. And she found out like the hour before I was doing the premiere of the Bill Scott documentary, she rushed home from a recording session just to be there.
I think I remember that. I think she was all hot and sweaty, as it were, because it was like, she had
Yeah.
literally rushed,
And then
and so
and
those
then
people
she had to bail out halfway through. I found out the real reason why she kind of bailed out and we didn't see her again after part 2 is because she had a family issue that she had to go sort out, and I think
okay.
she thought she was only going to be gone a few minutes, and she ended up going for like an hour.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well, it was getting pretty late. I mean, I stayed with you to the end, but it's like, yeah, we're both on the West Coast here in America.
I support you, Mark. Good
Of
man.
course, you were in the middle of the night. I mean, I think you were like at 2 or 3 in the
Yeah,
morning.
it was
But you
sunrise.
had planned
It
to
was
stay up all
sunrise
night,
out
so
there.
but it
Yeah, it
started
was
getting
literally
late out
sunrise
here.
outside my bedroom window. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
I see
yeah,
the light.
yeah.
I see it out
Meanwhile, I'm
there.
going, this is a great documentary. That's one reason I want to watch it again, just because I want to see it in one big piece, because we took a big
And it's been
break in the
improved.
middle, for a intermission, and it's like,
And it's been improved. I took into mind what everyone
oh, you
wanted me
made
to
changes
improve
to it
on.
though. Okay, another reason to see it. So if you've seen it before, when did you change it? At the time or
I
a little
changed
bit
it
after?
after the premiere,
Okay,
so
okay.
it's pretty much the very early rough cut that everyone at the Zoom premiere saw, because there was a
Okay,
lot of
so
errors and stuff like that I
I'm
didn't
definitely
rectify.
going to watch it again. Okay, so because I want to see what you've done with it,
And
but
what
don't be a George Lucas. Don't keep changing it. It's like you gotta
I won't. It's all
let it
right.
go.
I've changed it
Let it go.
since. Yeah, and what I found really special about that premiere is because I think that was the last time I spoke to Will Ryan virtually.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, the last email he said, "Hello, I'll be your little document. You hope you didn't stay up too late." And I was like, and I didn't know it then, but back then he was battling cancer and his health was getting progressively bad,
Yeah,
and he died about 2 or 3 months later.
yeah. I
Um,
think I had heard
I'm
winds of it, but it was very hush hush. It was very quiet. It was Jerry Beck later that. Are you familiar with Jerry Beck? Okay, good. He
It
revealed
was
it
Jim
later.
Magon who told me that
He
Will
revealed it
was.
later because he was a close friend with him too, and that he was keeping it very private and everything during that time. So it was
Yeah,
a little bit of a shock. So because I didn't know how bad it was. So and I had
yeah.
forgotten he was there. So um,
I'm
so
so glad he got to see it before he died.
yeah, And then, of course, our old friend buddy, which actually allowed me to have him on my podcast afterwards, Keith Scott, great guy. And we had to coordinate like you and I had to coordinate. It's like, but the opposite direction. He's in Australia, and so it's like I had to catch him, like him getting up in the morning, and I was in the evening. Just to get in the right time slot, but we
Yeah,
made it work, and he was an incredible interview too, and he'll give you any voice you want to and any story. It's like, I imitated this person, oh, I imitated this person, and he'll just do it, and it's like, because I know some people, if you tell them, it's like, can you do a Bullwinkle? You have to pay me money first, or something, and he'll just do it, oh, like that.
Bill would just say no. Like he said, some people who knew him said to me, "Oh yeah, well, I was a little kid and Bill Scott lived on my street," and I asked him, "Could you do the Bullwinkle voice?" And he just goes to them and goes, "No," in a
No.
Bullwinkle's voice and walks off. But yeah, he was really nice. I like his kids' schools and stuff at events there, and at church he would sometimes do his voices. And but I heard a lovely story where this disabled girl came into his church and he did the Dudley voice for her, and she started crying. I was like, ah, yeah. So that was really sweet.
Was this one Keith Scott or Bill Scott?
Bill Scott.
Bill Scott. Okay. All right. Because we're talking about both. So I want to make sure we're talking about the right person. So that was
Yeah,
the story
yeah.
with Bill. Okay. Very good. Uh, but, and that's one thing that kind of freaked me out when I first heard about Keith Scott. It's like they're not related, but then Scott is like my last name. Everybody has it seems like, so, or your
Yeah.
last name, even everybody has a name Jones. It's
I'm
very
not Amber Scott. Sometimes wish I was, but it's just how it is. Yeah. It'd be cool if I found out if I was related to Bill. That would have been a really big plot twist. I'd just go at the end of the premiere, oh, by the way, I am related to Bill, so yeah. Hi.
That would be interesting. But well, the last topic, and I don't want to end there if we have other things. But you did mention on the various things, and I wanted to ask you about this, and I wanted to approach it delicately. But April is Autism Awareness Month, and you've mentioned before you are, and even at the start of the show, how did you find out you were? And the reason why is when I was a kid, I hate to say, they never said the word autism really didn't exist. We're talking about the 1970s, and they used wonderful, colorful words like retarded and mentally disabled and stuff like that. But it's not really the same thing. So when growing up, what was your experiences, and how did it lead you to the way, because you seem basically perfectly normal to me here. I mean, you go off on little tangents, but then so do I. So I don't know. So
I get that a lot.
if you're not too uncomfortable talking about it, it's like, tell us a little bit of your story on that and what we should do during this appreciative month.
No, I'm not uncomfortable with talking about it at all. I love talking about it. I was diagnosed at the age of 4. Was it 4? Was it 3? No, it was 4. Definitely 4. So I was at the time, I obviously didn't know what autism was because I was too young to fully understand the whole thing. My parents, no, they understood because I have a younger brother who's sort of non-verbal. He communicates through echolalia, but he's taller than me, and it's scary, and he's like a year younger than me. So my parents have to deal with kind of like, I used to say both sides of the spectrum because I'm high functioning, he's low functioning, but as I said, people don't refer it to that as anymore, they just refer it to as autism. But I kind of still prefer it to be called like Asperger's and high and low functioning, because I say, oh, me and my brother are autistic, and they say, yeah, no, your brother's autistic, but what about you? I'm like,
you're not.
I'm like, oh, please, no, don't get me started. So obviously when I got older, I started to know a little bit more about autism. I discovered a lot of things I never thought I would discover, which is really cool. Like when I found out that Billy West and Corey Burton were autistic, I was like, my favorite.
I didn't know that either. So,
yeah,
but I'm not necessarily seeking it out. I mean, I'm not like, got my autism checklist. This person is, like, it doesn't matter to me. But I'm just kind of curious about it because, like I said, when I was a kid, and even when they were kids, I don't think they were told till later years, I'm sure, because like I said, it wasn't a word in the vocabulary. So so what were the signs? What did it mean? What did they tell you at age 4? What were you doing that gave you that basic label, as it were? So
well, I would repeat things from cartoons and kids shows and TV shows
that.
and stuff,
Maybe
like
I'm
quotes and
autistic
stuff.
too.
It's echolalia. It's basically you communicate through that. I found it very hard to socialize. I had bad anxiety. I was very shy. And I felt mainly uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable, no, comfortable with really playing on my own. Even though I wanted to like have friends and stuff, but it was just easier for me to be on my own. And sometimes I'd just create these little worlds and stuff, and I'd just have extreme thoughts and a big imagination and stuff. So obviously, as a little kid, just thought I was weird. But that's not the case. I still am autistic. So as I got older, I started getting bullied for being weird, essentially. And what's even funnier is that my old school now has just started celebrating autism. Oh, I call it Autism Acceptance Month or Autism Appreciation Month, because awareness, everyone knows what autism is. I don't think there's not one person on the planet who doesn't know about autism. So they just started celebrating Autism Acceptance Month. As soon as I left, I'm like, you didn't even give me any support. You didn't give me any support when I was at that school. So what's the point in you celebrating it being two-faced? It infuriated me. It really did infuriate me. So in high school, I was severely bullied. I was pulled out. I went to a school tailored to people with mental health problems, and I did that. Got to college, and so easy to make friends at college. I cannot tell you how easy it was. Everyone accepted for who you are. Everyone liked you, no matter if you loved kids shows or cartoons or video games or whatever. Or even if I just rambled on about voice actors, they'd still be my friend, which is really helpful. Yeah.
Now,
So
over the course of like I guess so 14 years. Okay. Uh, over the course of the past 14 years, do you notice a change in your behavior of how you dealt with different things, or do the same things trigger you off, or do you do the same things, or have you grown or changed over time?
I feel like I've grown and changed over time.
Mhm.
I still find some things annoying that I did find annoying as a kid. Like as a kid, I would just hate loud sounds and
Mm.
stuff, or I'd hate people chewing or whistling. But obviously, when I did it myself, I was fine. It's so I don't know how it works, but it's just it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. And
Mm.
as a kid, I used to get angry and stuff and jealous easily, and just sad if I lost a game or whether I was picked for anything. As an adult now, I just shrug it off and say that's life, really. But sometimes I do get upset, but that's just my autism playing up. So yeah.
Now, did you go over the years to any sort of therapies, or how did you? Okay, and
Yeah,
do you
I
still do
did.
that to this day, or do you kind of like keep everything under control, or what do you do?
I still go to therapy. It's a mental health service of it's called CAMS in England. And not a lot of people praise it. Yeah, that's apparently not. People say it's not helpful at all, and I've heard numerous stories about it. And yeah, obviously, I do not wish to publicly make my comments about them public, whether they're good or bad. But yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about them. And yeah, I still do therapy. I'm meant to be on adult services now, but it's been delayed because of the pandemic. So I don't know what's happening.
But I would say if you feel that if something helps you, it's got to be something good, even if everybody doesn't have the same experience. Somebody had a difficult experience. I mean, I could say that about different uh hospitals and stuff like that. Certain hospitals, just for medical things, treat people terribly, and then other ones treat people well. But I think it's a case by case basis on everything. So you know
Yeah.
um so what does the outlook look like as far as the rest of your life? You can basically be a fully functional person and continue on doing all your things, or is there anything that might set you back, or you don't consider anything a setback and everything's up for up for grabs or whatever in your life? Do you think?
Well, I always stumble when I'm asked this question because I really don't know what I'm doing for
Well,
the
yeah,
rest of my
we're
life.
talking about the future. It's all
I'd say voice acting.
hypothetical. Yeah,
I want to be a voice actress. Well, I know I am, but
I
maybe a
hope you
fully
do.
fledged
Yeah.
one. I don't know. But yeah, I would also like to become an ambassador for, well, I already am an ambassador for autism, but like more out there, as I say. Well, as people say, not just me, when you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism.
Mm.
Yeah, well, they say autistic now. Yeah, because it's not like I have, when I say with autism, it's like in a bag, but then autistic, it's like me all over. But then I used to think it was the other way around, like an autistic person that was offensive, but apparently it's not. I don't know. It's all too confusing. I just lay on the sidelines and go, yeah, yeah. I'm just kind of chilled back here. Yeah. So yeah.
And
So
then explain to me, and I'm sure some people watching probably don't necessarily, especially if they don't know anybody personally autistic. What's the difference between like autism and Asperger's and all the various different terms that are out there? I mean, is it still all autism in the end of the at the end of the day, or what?
Asperger's is more of a social communication. Um, you have trouble with socializing and communicating with others and stuff. Maintaining eye contact is very hard. I
Mhm.
never used to maintain eye contact with anyone because it was so hard to just look at someone in the eye and their face would just be placid in my head for the whole day. I'm like, get out of my way. So yeah, that's more of a sort of communication condition
Mhm.
sort of thing. Autism is like, I think it's just, it affects people differently. People get it in different sort of formulas, as I say. It's like a salad bar. You pick whatever you want: echolalia, obsessions, OCD, everything like that, sort of. And in a like a little box or something like that, and then there you have it, an autistic person. My brother is similar. He communicates through echolalia. He has trouble going out. He has triggers that set him off: dogs barking, babies crying, loud noises like fire alarms and stuff like that. Well, none of those affect me apart from babies crying. They can be a bit annoying sometimes.
That's your next voice.
I don't. The day I voice a baby is the day I probably die of embarrassment. I know I've never had a high voice, so I can never do anything along those lines. I'm more of a soft person with a darker, deeper voice.
Ooh, cool.
Wow.
Wow. You're a baby Herman.
So yeah, it's really just what you see is what you get, really.
Mm-hmm. And I guess, if this is autism appreciation or awareness, what
Or
should
acceptance.
Or acceptance, that's the word. You said it and I'd forgotten it already. Or I mean, there isn't any special way to treat you one way or the other. It's just to respect you for who you are is probably the best way, right?
Just treat us normally. Just treat us like a normal human being. We're all normal. Right. Say aloud for the people in the back. I will. We're all normal. We're not aliens. We're not people from outer space. We're normal humans just like you.
And that's what I wanted to get across. So I appreciate that you said that, because some people go, oh, they have autism. Oh, we treat them with kid gloves, and everything. It's like,
well, sometimes I do want to be treated like sort of lightly.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody has
everyone's being treated strictly and I'm being treated strictly, I'm like, no, go soft on me. I don't like people shout. Oh yeah, that's another thing I don't like, people shouting at me. that's always gonna pet me. I don't like people getting angry at me. It makes me cry. It makes me physically cry. It's I don't even know what to say. To be fair, yeah. So.
All right. Well, I don't know if I have any other questions. Let me just double check and see what I got. We went through that. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Is there anything else you wanted to say, or I can just hand it over to you to give your normal plugs? You can plug the Bill Scott documentary again, or any website you have, and how people can contact you and give you voiceover jobs.
Well, I will say one thing. Do what you love and love what you do.
Very good. Yeah. I like that.
Thank you. I got off Animal Crossing. One of my villagers said it. I just think it's a very good inspirational quote now. I'll use it in my yearbook quote. Put it on my gravestone. Yeah.
All right. So, promote yourself one last time. Where can they find the documentary? How can they contact you? How can they give you a voiceover job? How can they give you £1 million? Okay.
my documentary is on YouTube. You can search it, Bill Scott, the Portrait of a Moose, on the channel Amber the Fangirl, and that's my channel. AMBER space THE space FANGIRL. So there's that. And I'm on Instagram as Amberleah X. That's AMBERLEAHHX, and that's the same for Twitter as well. Facebook, my Facebook is private, so I don't add it unless you are a very close friend. So you will see me. You will see me. You're welcome to chat with me on Facebook, but obviously, don't add me because that's all stuff that's shied away from the real world. Stuff I don't want to be made public. I don't want everyone being in the public eye in my family. Because
fair enough. Yeah, you don't want to be that open and accessible. It's any personal appearances, any other conventions, maybe not as a guest, but even just attending.
I wish.
No, but I mean, even attending in the next few months, besides Riverside,
I'm doing Comic-Con Liverpool next month. I'm doing Comic-Con Edinburgh this October. I may be doing TF Nation this August, but this October I'm meeting Frank Walker, so don't bother me because I'll be meeting my favorite person in the whole wide world.
Now, do you set up a table or do you just attend?
I just attend. I don't do any setup autographs things. I just go. I just enjoy the space. I cosplay. I cosplay a lot.
I didn't know if you had like any marketable items like little doodads or doohickeys or sold anything.
I want a
Like
marketable plushie of myself
yeah,
sometimes.
there you go. You make a a plush helicopter.
Oh, oh my gosh, that sounds really cool.
There's your next project.
Good idea,
Anyway,
Mark.
well, it's a pleasure having you on the show again. I think we covered a lot of different things,
Thank
and
you.
it's always a pleasure. If you get another voiceover, or we could talk again after you do your Riverside trip and talk about that and how it came out, and maybe you'll know where the theme park ride will end up,
Oh yeah, definitely.
and more information, and like give you all the kudos and everything, and hope you the best for your long and prosperous voiceover and documentary filmmaking career. Let's see if I can do it. Yes. Live long and prosper.
Live long
Okay.
and prosper.
All right. Well, I thank you very much for being on the Fun Ideas podcast today.
You're
And
welcome, Mark.
this is Mark Arnold, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.